The delivery room was silent, too silent, except for the flat, endless beep of a monitor that had already decided the truth before anyone dared to say it out loud. The doctor's shoulders were tense, the nurse's eyes glassy. On the bed lay a young woman, her hair stuck to her forehead with sweat, her hands still curled as if she were holding on to life itself. Outside the room, her husband's family stood together, not crying, not praying, but whispering with relief. Somewhere among them, a woman in a red dress smiled faintly, already imagining a future that wasn't supposed to be hers. They had said the wife was weak, that her body wasn't strong enough, that the pregnancy was a burden. When the doctor finally stepped out and lowered his head, the words came like permission. "We're sorry, she didn't make it." A sharp intake of breath. Then something shocking. Not screams. Not sobs. The mother-in-law covered her mouth, but not to cry. To hide a satisfied smile. The sister-in-law sighed as if a problem had been solved. And the mistress, standing just a step too close, looked down, pretending to mourn, while her fingers trembled with excitement. Inside, the nurse gently covered the woman's face. She had been kind. Quiet. Always apologizing for things that weren't her fault. She never complained about the late nights, the cold words, the woman who answered her husband's phone one too many times. She had just wanted her baby to live. 40 seconds into this story, let me pause for a moment. If stories about humanity, truth, and unexpected justice move you, even a little, please tap like, leave a comment with what you're feeling right now, share this story with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Back in the hallway, the husband stood frozen. He didn't cry either. He just stared at the floor as his mother squeezed his arm and whispered, "It's over now. You can start fresh." The mistress met his eyes and nodded, already planning names, weddings, photographs. No one asked about the baby. They assumed the worst had already happened. Then, from inside the delivery room, came a sound that didn't belong. A faint cry. Soft. Fragile. Almost like a question. The nurse froze. The doctor turned slowly. He looked at the woman on the bed again, then at the monitor. His eyes widened. "Wait," he said, voice low. He stepped back inside, heart pounding. Moments later, he emerged, his face pale but alive with urgency. He walked straight past the celebrating family and leaned toward the husband. His voice dropped to a whisper, sharp enough to cut through every smile in the room. "It's twins, and one is alive." The hallway exploded into chaos. The mother-in-law laughed nervously, thinking it was a mistake. "That's impossible," she said. The mistress stepped back as if the words had burned her. The husband rushed forward, suddenly awake, suddenly afraid. Inside the room, a tiny baby lay in the nurse's hands, blue, weak, but breathing. The doctor worked quickly, focused, fighting for a life that no one outside had cared to imagine. Minutes felt like hours. And then, finally, the baby cried louder. Stronger. But the miracle didn't stop there. As they stabilized the newborn, the nurse noticed something strange. The woman on the bed, declared dead just minutes earlier, had a faint pulse. So faint it had been missed in the chaos. Her body had shut down from shock, from blood loss, from exhaustion, but she wasn't gone. Not yet. The doctor shouted orders. The room filled again with movement, purpose, hope. Outside, the smiles drained from faces that had celebrated too early. The mistress slipped her phone back into her purse. The mother-in-law sat down hard, her knees giving way. For the first time, fear replaced certainty. Hours later, the truth stood tall and undeniable. The wife survived. One twin survived. And the world that had tried to erase her collapsed under the weight of its own cruelty. When she woke, she didn't know what had happened. She just whispered, "My baby." The nurse smiled through tears. "You have a son," she said gently. "And you're very strong." The husband stood at the door, ashamed. He wanted to speak, but no apology could undo what had been revealed in that hallway. The doctor's whisper had exposed not just a miracle, but the hearts of everyone who had hoped for her silence forever. In the days that followed, the truth spread. The mistress disappeared. The family that once controlled every breath she took now stood powerless. And the woman, holding her tiny son, understood something clearly for the first time. Survival was not just about living. It was about being seen. She named her son Hope. Because when everyone else celebrated her end, life whispered back instead. Before this story ends, if it touched your heart even a little, please like this video, comment what part stayed with you the most, share it with someone who believes justice still finds a way, and subscribe to Kindness Valley. Your support helps these stories reach the people who need them most.